4, 3, 2.
Welcome to Westchester Jewish Community Services. As a leading agency in providing a comprehensive spectrum of human services, we have been helping people since 1943. We serve all people in Westchester County, regardless of age, income, or ethnicity. We provide a wide variety of essential and dynamic services that make a difference in people's lives. Children, teens, adults, and senior citizens are served by our network of programs located throughout the county. When people come to us for assistance, they become part of the WJCS family. Our highly trained and skilled staff focus on you and your family and are committed to becoming your partner in finding solutions. For more than half a century, we have been connecting people to services that help them overcome mental, physical, or emotional challenges. WJCS is here in your community when you need us.
Welcome to the Ways We Care of Westchester Jewish Community Services. I'm Dale Wang, Director of Community Relations. WJCS is funded by UJA Federation, United Way, government grants, private individuals, foundations, and corporations. Over the past 25 years, women in the United States have certainly reached significant heights in terms of equality in education and opportunity. With those advances, however, have come some added stresses and strains that have been the result of wanting to do more and achieve more. Recognizing the special needs of contemporary women, WJCS established a Women's Center in 1996 that began to address the issues unique to women. Tonight we will talk about the center and some of the ways in which it has evolved to assist women in a variety of settings with a variety of needs. In the first half of the program, to introduce us to the projects of the center, we welcome our director, Lenore Rosenbaum. Welcome,
Hi.
Lenore.
Thank
It's
you.
always wonderful to have you join us.
Thank you.
And also in this segment, we'll be talking with Deputy Commissioner Bridget Gladwin of the Westchester County Department of Corrections. Welcome, Bridget. The
you.
project that you're going to be discussing is very exciting to us. Lenore, we've had other programs about the Women's Center, but I think each year we have a new audience. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about where it's at and the Center for Women's Issues, as it's now called.
Okay. First, I can't believe when you said 1996. That is 5 years into the mission, almost 6. We are actually, well, no, I should say we were a center without walls, in essence. When people thought of a center, they would imagine a place where people could go and do a lot of different things. We were over at Manhattanville for a short amount of time, and now we are located at WJCS in Hartsdale. What we do is really 2 series, a series in the spring, a series in the fall, of workshops that are related to women's issues. As you said, there are many stressors, there are many issues that women have. Women are juggling several lives, and we thought that from what we were hearing, that we would put together a series of workshops, and the common thread would be what's important to women, what might be helpful for them to know. And so it was my job to create the series, to get the workshop leaders, to do the registration, and of course to attend, because it's really fascinating to listen to the different workshops and hear what women are talking about, what are women concerned about, and also to notice the camaraderie that begins to occur when groups of women come together, and many of them now more so than ever register for multiple workshops. You know,
Very
years ago, excuse me,
People
women were registering for one workshop, and now they call and they say, I want them all. But of course we do have restraints in terms of the size of the room. which is a little bit of a catch-22, because while we would like to be available to many women, I think our maximum is about 17, and that really creates a lovely intimate setting. And it creates a setting that women can feel they have the opportunity to interact with each other and with the workshop facilitator.
Right, right. How do you determine what the program will be for the spring or for the fall semester?
Well, I go a little bit into the past and I see what has been popular. As an example, this fall's program is going to begin next Tuesday, and at this point 5 out of the 8 workshops already are oversubscribed, so we have a waiting list for 5 of them. And the one that is most sought after this year is the one on self-image. And so I find that that's
Very
telling me
interesting.
something. Women seem to be interested in how to perceive a better self-image, how to achieve a better self-image. And the other thing that's nice about that, we've had this topic before, and so I have repeated it, is that women feel very comfortable and are very open in their ability to discuss. So that we're holding true to form, and we've got at least 12 people on the waiting list for that.
Now, how do you attract the presenters for the program?
Well, at this point, again, there are people who have been very well received, and so I will call on them again. They are very gracious, and they offer themselves to the center. Then I try to forge new territory. A lot of people, a lot of professionals have heard of us, and so I will get phone calls and letters in the mail saying I'd be willing to present on a particular topic. And as I tell everybody, I have a folder. I will put you in the folder, and when I'm ready to prepare the next semester, I go to the folder because I would like a mix of old and new.
Right.
And so far that system has worked.
Right.
The professionals who have offered their time have been absolutely wonderful.
So at the end of this segment, we'll give a little bit of an overview of the courses coming up, but generally they're in the health and wellness, finances,
Wellness, personal
taking care.
issues, self-esteem, stress. There's always something on stress. Sometimes non-traditional ways of dealing with stress. We have one coming up on visualization, and that's a little bit of a non-traditional way of looking at stress. And those are the kinds of things. We do have a sprinkling of issues relating to finance.
Right.
We
I know
had
that's a big
one
topic for women.
that dealt with the issue of money, but not from the point of view of the way you would think, but rather, what does money mean, the concept of money, and that was a fascinating, how women perceive money, issues that they have from their past, from their families about money. So we try to get a real cross-section, but things that are really important to women.
One of the ways you've branched out, certainly, I think, because we've developed a reputation, is that we've begun many more collaborative projects. And I know one of the first was the Directory of Resources for Women that was funded by the Fund for Women and Girls.
Right.
Can you talk about some of the collaborative things that have been going on?
Okay, a very important collaboration, which really just was completed, this project was just completed, was through the Department of Labor, through Nita Lowy. We were able to get a grant to work with women who were going from the welfare rolls into the workplace. And we targeted an area in southwest Yonkers, and we proposed to work with these women to give them a series of workshops, skills, job finding, resume writing, and many of them still needed to complete their high school graduation. We were able to provide with another program of WJCS as a different start. The women would get their education, and then during that time we had people coming in offering them workshops on how to find a job, how to use your skills, how to write a resume, the corporate culture, the work culture. You know, what is it like to hold a job? What are the responsibilities? What are the barriers in your life that are going to impede a bit, that you're going to have to overcome? So that has been a very exciting collaboration,
Right.
and it occurred through the Department of Labor. That's probably the largest grant that we received to go out of our little box, so to speak.
Well, let's follow up, because one of the more innovative projects that is also a collaboration is the one that you're now working with Bridget on, and this is to be at the Westchester County Women's Jail.
Women's unit.
Women's unit, with funding from the Westchester Community Foundation. Give me an idea of the background. What interested you in bringing the Women's Center into the jail to do a program that is for pre-release women?
Yes, women prior to their release. Well, we had a discussion with Lenore. She had been to the Westchester County Department of Corrections before, and from her visit, certain things had evolved. So we had a discussion with her about some of the needs that the women had presented. You know, so we discussed a project, and we thought it was exciting, and this was in line with the County Executives Trust, which is to improve our transitional services, trying to get inmates from the prison back to their communities in a positive way, supervised way. So this discussion with Lenore was an exciting one, because it had come just after the county executive had emphasized these services to us.
Now, the outline of the program, you are going to be selecting women, or women are going to be volunteering to participate?
Yes.
Yes.
Women who are about 2 months to their release are going to be participants in the program, because what we're hoping to do is to begin them thinking of their return, make plans for their return, see what the barriers to their success will be, whether it's housing, jobs, caregiving issues, and work with them to develop realistic plans to handle those problems when they return.
And you said that you had previous experience doing a program of this sort.
Oh yes. Prior to my current assignment, I had run in New York State Prison. I was a superintendent for over 17 years with women. And so I was very familiar with the needs that were presented. And we had such a program called pre-release services, where we did similar kinds of things to what Lenore is going to be doing. The difference in that system, the New York State correctional system, is that we have women longer.
Right.
So we can do a little bit more. You know, this is one of the challenges that I discussed with Lenore that we're going to have, because our women are short-term in the county system. And so we're working on starting the preparation and making linkages with the community, so that when they leave, we can still continue some services such as mentoring and helping them.
Right. Now, what's the nature of the kinds of problems that have brought the women into the jail to begin with?
Well, in our system, which is the county system, has only women who have committed misdemeanors, as opposed to the state system, which women have committed felonies.
Right.
So our women are in for drug sales, maybe prostitution, small petty larceny, you know, maybe criminal mischief.
Right.
Crimes that are considered misdemeanors. And so it gives us, who work with them, an opportunity to try to get them back on the right track, so that they do not go to a state system.
Right, right.
You know,
I
which
would think
means
that
they've
that's
graduated.
a major challenge.
Right.
Right.
They've graduated from doing, you know, misdemeanors to felonies. So this is why the trust is to try to help them plan and deal with the obstacles that they face that brought them into petty crimes,
Right.
before they go into the big time.
Lenore, what's the nature of the program that you've proposed? I know that it has a component of a personal options plan and
Right,
some other
right.
things. What are you actually proposing to do with the women?
Well, this is going to be a little innovative. It's going to be stepping into uncharted territory, but the proposal is to have a small group sessions once a week for about an hour and a half with the women, and to talk about the issues that they are concerned about in preparation for leaving and when they get out. And you had mentioned before that my inspiration came from a talk that I had given at the jail on another topic. But at the end, when the women just began to chat and somebody talked about how she was so concerned about going back to her apartment, it was a co-op, and she had been on the co-op board. And whatever her misdemeanor was, she has paid her dues and she is now coming back. But she was so concerned about the stigma. You know, what will her neighbors think about her? And other women who had babies or who had children that were with relatives or in foster care, how were they going to be a parent again? Where were they going to live? How were they going to get jobs? So when I began to hear these issues, that's when it all began to percolate in my head. And so we certainly hope to address the issues, to give the women the sense that they are in a comfortable environment to talk about these things. And the other thing that I would like to do is to set up, for the lack of anything else, a little bit of a buddy system, and try to get women to pair off with each other so that they have somebody to talk to and talk out some of the problems and concerns they have. We're also going to talk about how to do problem solving. What steps have to be taken to solve some of these problems, because problems can seem so enormous. I have to go out, I have to get a job, I have to find a house. That's impossible. How am I going to do that? And so the personal option plan will ask the women to talk about the major issues and concerns they have, and then we'll talk about how we're going to achieve these. What tasks, what small steps within the tasks have to be taken. And I also hope to do a number of values clarification exercises, ways of getting the women to talk about what they're really feeling, what their major emotional status is, and I'm sure a lot of the fears, as you well know from the women who you work with, the fear of leaving the, in a sense, the comfort of the institution where those decisions are made
have
for
been
you.
taken care of for
It's a
you.
structured environment with
Right.
people to help them if there is a problem.
Are you also planning to deal with the hard skills like job search techniques? Or, you know, is this where the women are, or is that something that will be done on the outside?
No, I think we have
We certainly will address it. And one of the other things that I would like to do is to provide resources so that when we establish the different communities that the women will be going back to, we will then try to make the connections within those communities, because they do come from a variety of locations.
They come from many different areas in Westchester. And one of the things that Lenore and I had discussed was maybe tying into their faith community, so that they have a safe place that they know they can call somebody there. You know, because in the county system we have many chaplains from all different denominations.
Right.
That we can establish those type of linkages in a very easy manner.
Now, I noticed in the, first of all, you mentioned the buddy system. Now, was this going to be pairing women in the prison with each other?
Well, I thought that we might begin to do that a little further on, you know, as the group became more cohesive and as the women began to feel like they were in this together. But certainly to look at the areas that they are going to, and if Mary and Susie are going back to Yonkers, then we certainly would like to be sure
to
that they
pair them
knew
up
where
together.
they're, you know, how they could reach each other, how could reach out to each other, and to be of help, just to
Right.
be
Support,
a support
positive
person.
support.
Yeah.
You know, for
So
each
it's not
other.
people on the outside who are there
No,
to
people on the
support.
outside too. You know, that's where the places like the
community
faith
resources, right.
community. Yeah. I think we plan to use people on the outside as well, as many as we can get. But even if you have people on the outside, it's still a comfort to know that you have somebody who knows you, who knows you did time together.
Right.
You can be yourself with this person.
Right.
They know they're facing some of the same challenges that you have. And I have to say that this has worked in my previous career, where we had a nursery program and we had mothers being released. Very often we found the mothers who lived together in a community, when they got out, they maintained relationships. If they became friends, they maintained relationships, and we found that they were oftentimes a good support for each other. So it's a similar thing that we envisage happening.
Right. You had mentioned that women are especially receptive to these kinds
Yes.
of programs.
Yes.
What is it that, you know, how that makes them receptive? Here they are in jail, they could be
Right.
feeling, you know, desperate or bad
Right.
about themselves. What?
Well, we have found, you know, those of us who have worked in the criminal justice field for some time, that women are very open. They don't keep things as closed in as men tend to do, and maybe it's just our socialization.
Right.
And so when they have a problem, they speak freely. They talk. They write. You know.
Right.
They don't keep it as a secret. And so you readily are able to pick up what is troubling them and what some of their needs are. And if you can gain that woman's confidence, or if a program comes in that they can see some benefits, those women who are at that point to change their lives, you know, then they are very receptive. You know, one of the other things I said that we have found that has helped women is many of them are mothers. And the thought of being better for their children, becoming a better person for their children, always appeals to them. I mean, many of them say it, even the ones who maybe are not strong enough to follow through.
Right.
In their head, they still want to be a better example or give their children a better life. So those women who are a little further along with their own self-development are ready and are ripe, so to speak, to take hold of opportunities that we make available to them.
Right, and really select more positive paths
Yes.
for themselves.
Yes.
What will your measure of success be for this project?
Well, I think if the women who go through this program are able to stay out in the community, get jobs, and stay there, we'll feel that we've been successful. And I think even if they relapse, for instance, one of the difficulties with recidivism centers around drug treatment, women who have drug dependency problems, which is not an easy one. And for those women, if we are able to link them into treatment programs on the outside where they stay, and even if they stayed clean for 18 months or 2 years and then fall, we will still consider that a success, because maybe before they had never done that.
Right, right.
You know? So there, you know, success is measured in degrees and in a certain perspective.
You know, I was just thinking about something that you just said,
Yes.
that the women are open. This would never have occurred if the women were not open at that session that I came to talk about something entirely different. And there I was, a stranger, but they were able to open up, and then I caught the concerns. So I hope that that will continue in
Right,
our
and we're very
groups.
lucky to have the backing of the Westchester Community Foundation. This, I do envision that this would be a pilot project, perhaps replicated in other settings, or in future, in an ongoing
In an ongoing way.
basis.
We would like to see that happen, because we feel it's an extremely positive thing for the women.
And one of the things that I also would like to do, that I have in my plans, is to do a little piece on how to ask for help. I think we had discussed that the last time.
We did.
Sometimes people don't know how to ask for help, and they don't know where to go for help. So that when they're back out in the community, if presented with temptations or something that occurs that might cause them to swing in one direction that may not be favorable. So we hope that we can instill the whole process that if you need help, how do you ask for it and where do you go for it?
Right.
And that it's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
Okay, well, this has been very interesting, and you won't believe that there are only 2 minutes left. So, Lenore, if you could just quickly run through the schedule for, I don't know if you have too much time, we can put it into the second half of the program. I know that you have some programs that are finishing up in October, and then we'll be going into November with certain of the Women's Center programs.
Okay. Well, we have As We Age, Living Well and Creatively. That is another very popular topic. Are you saying yes when you really mean to say no? How to set boundaries in your life.
Which will be in
our second half. And another one which has been interesting, it was a little bit of a risk on my part, and that is journal writing. I said, well, let's try this, because I knew the person who was going to do it. And I said, I wonder how many women will really take advantage of this. And we do indicate that no writing skills are necessary. And it was wonderful, and I'm having her back again. It's a way of unfolding.
We'll pick up on some of the other ones in the second half. Can we just give the telephone number so that people can get in touch with you if they are interested?
949-7699, extension 319.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We won't give your number because people know how to get in touch with you. I want to thank you both for your participation. And Lenore will hear a little bit more about the Women's Center and the Center for Women's Issues in the second half. But I look forward to hearing the progress of this project, which I think is certainly very worthwhile and should be a real benefit to the women who are serving time in our county.
Well, thank you. We are too.
Thank you. Please stay tuned for the second half. We'll be talking about the Center for Women's Issues and some of the programs that we're highlighting this semester. Welcome back to the Ways We Care of Westchester Jewish Community Services. I'm Dale Wang, Director of Community Relations. WJCS is funded by UJA Federation, United Way, government grants, private individuals, foundations, and corporations. Tonight we have been discussing special projects of the WJCS Center for Women's Issues, which helps Westchester women come together to address concerns related to health and wellness, relationships, finances, and careers. In this segment, we will highlight 2 of the upcoming workshops to be offered in November 2001 that are designed to help ease some of the current stresses on contemporary women. And to help us look at some of those issues and stresses and courses, we've invited Lenore Rosenbaum, who returns as the Director of the Center for Women's Issues. Thank you, Lenore. Marion Franklin, who is a life coach in private practice. Welcome, Marion. Joanne Lanza, one of our avid program participants. Welcome, Joanne. And Marlene Fertig. Welcome, Marlene, who is Executive Director of the Mount Vernon Youth Bureau. Thank you. Lenore, in the first half, we spent a lot of time talking about the women's workshops, but can you just give us a quick overview of what's coming up in November and what kinds of things people can look forward to?
I always try to balance, and I also try to respond to what I'm hearing that women would like to discuss. And so, and then sometimes I go out on a limb. But we have a very exciting program We have many people who are signed up, and the room is fast filling up. As We Age is the first one in November, and I always like to have a two-part title and try to make it a little bit enticing, although sometimes the subjects speak for themselves.
Right.
So As We Age is living well and creatively. Then comes Marion, and it's a long one. Are you saying yes when you really mean no? How to set boundaries to reclaim your life, which really makes a lot of sense.
Right, and we'll be exploring that a
we'll
little
explore
further.
that. An introduction to journal writing, which was really quite successful last semester, so I had that brought back again. Enhancing positive self-image, learn to be your own best friend. And Marlene is going to be alternatives to problem solving, the power of visualization and meditation. And Marlene was so enthusiastic about
It sounds very
visualization
interesting,
and
so.
mediation as a way for women to find an alternative to some other ways of problem solving and dealing with the stresses in their lives. And we all know, particularly at these times, how stressful things are.
Right.
And then another one, which is new for us, cut from a different cloth into marriage and cross-cultural relationships. And then in December, the last one is the power of the mind-body connection. Again, it's just another way of looking at ways. Here it is for achieving the centered self.
Right.
So,
Now, if people are closed out of the fall semester and can't get into the programs that they want, they do have another opportunity in the spring.
absolutely, yes.
And those workshops will be held in March?
Probably April, May, and I asked to put people on the mailing list because then they will receive their brochure well in advance of a newspaper or the library, and they can ring up and sign up for as many courses as they'd like.
Okay, so we'll come back to you at the end and get a little bit of information for how people can do that. I'd like to pick up with Marlene because your topic, alternatives to problem solving, the power of visualization and meditation, was very interesting. Can you give us a little overview of what you plan to cover and how you use those techniques?
Well, I think one of the things that's been helpful to me, and that's the way I really work, is that I try to gather information that's been useful to my own life and sharing it with others. And I would say probably the last 30 years I have done meditation. It first started as a career in terms of my undergraduate degree was in dance and musical theater. And I was first introduced to yoga way back when, actually when I was in high school, and then I, through the years, found yoga was a wonderful way to center myself, to get quiet. And I think it's so true. We lead such stressful, busy lives. Women have to wear so many different hats, and they're such nurturers. They take care of everybody but themselves. I mean, that's not a new thought.
Right.
So I think over the years, I found out what I could do to make my life better in terms of a career when I was first in dance and a young mother and a wife. And then through trying times in terms of a divorce and then going back to school, how am I going to be an effective mom? How am I going to find time to study? How am I going to find time to pay for a master's degree? All of these things, how do you juggle and still be able to know what you really want and need in your life? And I think the only way women, as well as men, but since we're talking about women today, is to get quiet and to really to do an assessment and to find out what it is that you really want. What is your mission in life? Because each of us has a mission in life. And it is sometimes a wonderful goal to combine your work experience, what you get paid for, with your mission in life. So I guess, again, is just using myself as an example, I found out through meditation I got quiet. I really got to know what I wanted, what I needed. And I find so many women feel that that's selfish. They say, oh, I never have time to sit down and be still. Never have time to do journal writing, to explore, what it is that I really want. Well, I'm here to tell you, if you don't find the time to do that, then that's where the body starts to react, where high blood pressure can come in, depression. And I think that's something that we have to be very mindful of, is to take stock on what our needs really are. So without a whole lot of talk, it's really helping women to breathe. That's the first form of getting that relaxation mode going, is deep breathing, closing the eyes. I take them through a journey of relaxing the whole body, and then we go on a creative journey. And it doesn't matter if a person has come in for problem solving in terms of finding a better relationship, finding a more fulfilling job, or trying to communicate better with their children. We first have to work on us and get still. Then through that visualization, that journey, then we will be able to find out what creative things come through. And I've done this probably over the last 25 years, I have yet to have a session where something doesn't come through for each and every person. And then we'll spend time talking about that. Then the third step, which will be a homework assignment for them, is to start a life chart where they'll take clippings out of a magazine or a photograph that they've taken and really make a visual image of that. If it's a better relationship with someone, then find an image of if it's a man and a woman holding hands, if it's smiling children, happy children, if that's what you want, then you put that down. If it's more money, then I say take a $100 bill, Xerox it, put it on your chart. If that's what you need to do to see it, to believe it, then that's how we can start to work.
So it kind of makes goals a little bit more concrete, but you're using very alternative means to get there. I think it's a very different perspective to look at meditation as a precursor to career exploration, which I know you have talked about.
Yeah.
So
And it can become very exciting, but it's a tool, and if you don't use it, you lose it. So this is just the first step. Hopefully we will make it comfortable enough and give them, I have some handouts, different ways to meditate. You can find the one that suits you, that person. And hopefully they will see that it's not something that a yogi does on a mountaintop in the Himalayas.
I think that's probably part of this. Is it a little hocus pocus?
Right. So if we can just get people to take, I say, if you can just take 10 minutes a day to start with, and you can even put a timer on, because so many people feel, I don't have the time. But you do have the time, and I'd like to at least introduce it with this one session workshop.
So this is one session. You said that this process tends to build self-confidence among people. How does that work? What do you think it is in these procedures that help people to develop confidence?
Well, I think all we need is just a little success, and all we need to have is a little bit of faith. And if you start to use it, and I always say, make a list of what you want in your life. And then you have to focus on that at certain part of the day. And I'm hoping that through that meditation, if I can get them started. But I will even say, write out your little affirmation. Your affirmation may be different from mine or yours. And it can be very simple. I now devote 10 minutes every day to my blessed experience with the world. Now, what does that mean? You have to define what that means. I have found some people say they don't say hello. Well, I say hello to everybody I meet on the street. And it takes people back sometimes. But what does that do? That opens you up to all kinds of possibilities. It makes you open to the blessings that the universe wants to give you. But if you go through life, fearful, afraid, and small and contained, then you're going to block your blessings. So I think that's a small exercise to get people to see, yeah, little things start to happen, and none of us exist by ourselves. I mean, there's always mentors, there's always people who are willing to help
Right.
and show you a path that's that maybe they've journeyed on, and you don't have to make the same mistakes. So I think when you open yourself up to possibilities, then people start to see, yeah, that can work.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds very interesting, and it sounds like a good segue into Marion's workshop, which I think also has to do with finding what you really want and being able to expedite it. Can you talk a little bit about what your workshop, which is called Are You Saying Yes When You Really Mean No? How to
Right.
Set Boundaries to Reclaim Your Life. How does that work?
I think I would reiterate so much of what Marlene said, and that is that women in particular have a very hard time thinking of themselves as important, as worthy. We are technically, in a sense, brought up to take care of and to nurture everyone but ourselves. And what I think that if there was a key message in all of the work, it's really that unless we take care of ourselves, we won't be any good for anybody else, or we'll be taking care of other people, but there'll be frustration, there'll be anger, there'll be resentment. But if we really come from our own strength and we really are able to first take care of our own needs, we can then be so much more helpful, supportive, and comforting than most women would believe. Because women's first reaction is, I must take care of somebody else other than me. And so in the workshop, what will occur for most people, and the big question that always comes up is, it feels selfish. And I really, as best as possible, explain that there's a huge, huge difference between self-care and being selfish, and that self-care is so absolutely critical. And what most women will say, the reason they have such a hard time is because they feel so much guilt. And so we will actually discuss, what that guilt looks like, what it feels like, and then we will actually go through some exercises and allow ourselves to actually feel guilty, but know that in the end we are really leaning towards something far greater and really being able to reclaim our lives.
Do you, in your exercises, is the goal to help people become more assertive? Is that something you can accomplish in that short amount of time?
Yes, actually, part of the, because the exercises are, in some of it is what is acceptable, what is not acceptable for me. And as Marlene was saying, we each have different things that, for each person. But for example, I think across the board it would be acceptable that no one can hit you, for example, or no one can go through your pocketbook. Those are the obvious. But there are so many others that we tend to blur. It's not acceptable for you to talk to me in that tone of voice. And that's something women have a hard time saying, or you're too close to me and I need to step back. And women don't know how to express that. So that is one of the things we certainly will go over, is how to speak up and still say it in a very loving and caring way, but still take care of our own needs.
One of the consequences, perhaps, of becoming more assertive or really exploring your goals may be that relationships may turn into things that may turn out differently than the path they were following. Job situations may begin to turn a little bit. How do you deal with people's fears that this may actually change them in ways they hadn't expected or anticipated?
Right. I think overall that fear is always what keeps us in place. And in fact, there's another workshop coming up that's really going to be around fear. And what we will do is keep a vision. If everyone has their vision in front of them, and it's a very compelling vision, They want to be able to take care of themselves. They want to feel good. As long as that vision stays in front of them and they are reminded all the time of the direction they want to go in, then a lot of these changes, as fearful as they are able to get through them. I mean, I myself have been through a divorce. I've changed careers a number of times, taken some chances that were, risky, but yet the growth and the outcome is so rewarding. And while you can't tell somebody that, you have to experience it for yourself. But I think having someone to support you and encourage you in the process is probably very key. It's very hard to go it alone when things feel so fearful. But changes do happen, and that's what we are about, is changing.
Right. Well, I'd like to get Joanne's perspective, because Joanne's taken several courses, probably not with you two yet.
Yes,
but,
yes, I did.
She did.
Yes.
Looking forward to
Joanne, tell me what the benefits have been for you and why you have pursued so many of these programs. You seem to be just the demographic that Lenore is saying, someone who's signing up for multiple courses.
Yes, I have, and I've enjoyed them, and I really appreciate Lenore's hard work at it. For me, I've become a different person. I raised my daughter. I'm a single mom, and when I read I think I saw it in the Women's News, and I said, oh, wow, that's a great subject, and I need to find out more about that. And I went to a couple of different ones and met great people there, and a lot of them in the same place that I am. My daughter's grown up, she's on her own now, and it's just different options, seeing different options out there and choices, and seeing someone that's been through the same thing, and being able to say, hey, we're here.
So have you experienced some of the feelings and issues that Marion was talking about in terms of trying to implement some of these ideas and these options and having it affect your life in ways you didn't expect?
Definitely. Being able to think before I do things, being able to deal better with people, people that are hard to deal with, not answering them right away, listening to myself and saying, I'll get back to you, or I'm in yoga also 2 days a week, and I love it, and calming down. And it's very hard to be a woman and be calm. Because as you said, the alarm goes off in the morning and you're going.
Right.
And at night you're going until the last minute to go back to bed. So everyone has probably gone into my life, and sometimes I don't even realize it. But people have commented to me, Joanne, why isn't that bothering you? Well, okay, I'll let it bother me later when I have time to think about it and give you the right answer. And I even noticed in my job, I recently have changed my job a little bit, and having to deal with people and difficult people, and I know that I could fly off the handle and just yell at them, and then where would I be? I'd rather say, okay, let's sit down and listen to people. I never used to listen to people. I was ready to react, oh, if I answer this, and I'll be the best. But I'm feeling very good. I feel very good about myself. It's real important, and I've met some really wonderful people and wonderful teachers in the workshop, and Lenore's just been a lot of fun to be with.
Do you ever follow up with some of the presenters when issues come up? Is that something that people do, make a further connection with some of the concepts?
Yes.
Actually, one of the ladies is giving a course at Westchester, and I joined that, and I'll be with her for 4 weeks. And she saw me and she said, "Here you are."
How about the relationships among the women who are taking the course? Are there other women who you see week after week who have been doing this with you, who you've developed relationships with?
Yeah, well, Joanne is very supportive and very open, which makes her just a great participant. But I can think of several people in the group where a discussion has brought out some personal difficult issues. Someone who had just announced her divorce in one of the workshops, and she got the support of the group. And
So wonderful.
and when people come in and they recognize each other, so there's that nice kind of familiar, oh hi, you know, you're here again. But Joanne is like, you know, from an old teacher, she's like the perfect student.
Thank you. Well, you may get a graduate degree in this class. Okay, Lenore, maybe you can just give us, you know, we had talked very, very briefly, and we only have a couple of minutes left. I know that you're going to be doing a program with the Rose Y because they were interested in doing similar kinds of workshops, and this will be funded by UJA Federation.
Right.
Can you tell us very briefly about
Again, our work was noticed, and I was called by some of the people at the Rose Y. I guess you're familiar with the Rose Y. And they wanted to do a program specifically for women in southern Westchester dealing with midlife issues. And so we are now going to collaborate with them and do a program that will be shorter than this, but we're going to zero in on some of the health-related issues and certainly some of the stress-related issues. And that program is in formation now, but we're very excited because it's so nice to know that we can come out of our box and that we can have the series in Hartsdale, and we can go to the prison, and we can go to Mount Vernon, and we can go to Yonkers with our other projects. So I'm really very excited
Which was
about
really,
it.
I think, one of the initial goals
It
was
was.
really to bring programs that
To the
empowered
community.
women to various diverse communities, and not just to sit in
one-
Hartsdale
right.
in one place, but to really be responsive to the needs. So I guess our message too is that if there are other organizations out there and other places where they would like to start to implement programs,
To give us a call.
we're capable of
And
doing that.
Also, if anybody would like to be on our mailing list, to please call me, and I will put you on our mailing list.
Okay, you
And
want to give the telephone
Sure,
number
it's
for that?
949-7699, extension 319. And when you're on the mailing list, you'll receive the brochure a good time in advance so that you have an opportunity to call and register.
Okay, that's great. Now, your workshop is coming up when?
November 5th.
And
Okay.
Marlene's is coming up on November 15th.
Okay. And so we look forward to both of those presentations. And I just want people to know that the Center for Women's Issues is just one of the programs of WJCS. We also have support groups, various support groups for women at all stages of life through the WJCS Westchester Self-Help Clearinghouse. And we run support groups for telephone connections for widowed to widowed and separated and divorced women, so that if you have personal issues, you can be in touch with us as well. I want to thank you all again for your participation, and we eagerly anticipate
Thank
your
you, Dale.
programs. And we hope if people have any questions about WJCS or about the Women's Center for Women's Issues or any of our support groups, that you'll give us a call. If not at Lenore's number, you can always reach us at 761-0600, and we'll be happy to direct you to the appropriate program. Thank you for viewing, and good night.